I can't do this without being drunk.
Zach Selwyn here. Welcome to After Hours at the Burgundy Room. We brought in a man who many would consider to be the drug dealer to the stars. This is probably the only podcast you are ever going to hear where we're interviewing a active dealer. So I hope you're ready for this one. This is going to be a very interesting evening. Of course, I'm not going to tell you his real name. We're going to call him Sanchez. And one thing we want to just kind of clarify here, we are not glorifying doing drugs or dealing drugs in any way. But we're also not sitting here and judging anybody. Guys, pour one out, dig in. We got Sanchez here, big Burgundy Room. Welcome to you, my friend. How are you feeling right now?
Lousy. No, I'm feeling good.
Lousy. So, I mean, you're an LA guy. You were raised here in LA.
Yeah, I wasn't a gang kind of guy. I was a free spirit kind of guy. And I love sports, so...
Did you play sports in high school? Is that what you kind of wanted to do? Or did you have any career goals as a young man?
I wanted to be an athlete and make quick money or whatever. Of course. You know.
Me too, bro.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
You know what, though? When you're 6'2" and a nice Jewish boy and you can't jump over a banana, that's when your basketball coach is like, maybe not for you.
Well, I saw Sandy Koufax.
There you go.
Sandy was...
Yeah, well, there's a couple exceptions to the rule there. Sandy, baby. Did you end up going to college? Did you graduate high school? How'd that all work out?
I graduated high school. I got into artwork. Because I was always a pretty good artist. When I knew I wasn't going to be an athlete, I started to do what I thought I wanted to do, which is paint and draw, get a job into the film business and make a career or whatever.
What ended up happening? You started maybe dealing a little weed or something? Like, how did this whole thing sort of start for you?
Actually, it started after high school. I think everybody tried to deal drugs in one way so they wouldn't pay for their habit, or not habit, just somebody...
Yeah, have a little extra cash.
Yeah, so that's how it happened. And then, but I didn't know many people who made a lot of money to be a cocaine dealer or a drug dealer. So I didn't even think that would be something that I ended up doing for a long time, and I still do it.
Amazing. So we're looking at roughly almost 40 years, probably. You're about
I would say
20 years
almost
old?
30 years.
30 years.
Professionally.
Is there a union? So what are we talking about here? What kind of drugs are we talking about? Are we talking about pills? Are we going just marijuana? Are we going heavy opiates? Are we going stimulant? Like
basically coke.
So obviously in the 80s in LA, that was a big thing. I mean,
exactly.
Were you a part of that revolution? Was that a good time to be a coke dealer in LA?
Yeah, I guess so. If you got a good price and got the good coke, which eventually is what happened. I really wanted to be in the film business.
What element? As an art director, as an artist, or anything?
Gopher, whatever.
Sure.
Anything. Just so I can make $250 a day, kind of.
Yeah.
Which was a lot of money back in those days.
Yeah.
And what happened was I met somebody who was dealing to guys like that. Grips, sound people.
You start dealing, you start seeing a little money. Yeah. Things are good at the beginning.
Well, in the beginning, I just wanted to get high.
What was the highest point, not the highest like drug-wise, but the highest point you got to? Did you ever have like the Miami Vice stereotype of the car and like the two chicks and the Philip Michael Thomas wardrobe, or were you like, I mean, did you ever get to like that kind of status?
I always could dress a little bit, but I always got everything on sale so people would see me. They saw me somewhere, they say, oh, this guy's got money. This guy looks like Rico Tubbs. And I weighed a lot less. But, the 80s were a great time, man. Music was, was great, I mean, I'm a hardcore 70s kind of guy, but, the 80s were fun. I was becoming more of an adult, so, dealing afforded me to have a decent job.
You said at the time you were sort of dealing to grips, people in the business and that sort of thing. Did you see any Hollywood-type celebrity actors, rock stars, that kind of thing come your way? Were you starting to get those guys involved as well?
Yeah.
Do you think there's a reason why creative people, or let's just say famous people, were doing drugs or do drugs or happen to crave it?
Well, the old saying is, my old saying is, if you can afford it, you can do it. If you can't afford it, or you start drinking more and your life gets fucked up. I had family members who got strung out on freebase pretty bad. I don't want to, because I don't even see them my family. But I heard they're okay,
Right.
and they survived it. But
I mean, you are still active to this day. How does today's drug scene compare to what you saw in the 80s and 90s, and even in the last decade?
to me, it's all the same, except I've seen a few people die, not necessarily from drugs, but they shouldn't have been doing drugs.
So it's been around, and it's
Yeah.
is it ever going away? In your opinion,
No,
never
no,
going
no,
away.
drugs are never
When was the
going
war on drugs lost by America?
It was going to lose anyway. I mean, as long as people want him,
People are going to find a way to get it.
yeah, I mean, yeah.
Your drink's low. You want another drink?
Yeah, I'll take another.
Pour Sanchez a drink. Once again, we are talking with one of LA's most. This is the Dr. Feelgood man you've heard about in so many songs and books. And have you? Has it ever gone bad? Have you done time?
I've gotten busted 3 times. I got busted in high school, and that's really a long time ago.
What's the longest stretch you were ever?
I was supposed to do a month, and I ended up doing 2 months. They didn't kick me out to 2 months.
Are they just there's overcrowded? Is that the
Yeah.
situation? I think a lot of people are interested in celebrity culture. You've dealt to a lot of celebrities, a lot of rock stars. Let's not name any names. Can you kind of run through the type of like famous people that you've had as clients in the past? Is that something you'd want to go into?
I met a few people, and some people I didn't see.
They would send someone.
They were seeing somebody else. Huh. I almost got in trouble with some celebrity once.
Can you tell the story without naming names?
One time I was driving with this person because I didn't trust this person to give her credit. So she got pretty upset and told me to go with her to this person who kept some of her credit cards so she wouldn't buy drugs. And I kept falling asleep in the taxi cab from Beverly Hills to, I guess I shouldn't tell you where it was because then you know what it is.
Right.
And I fell back asleep, and this person said, I'll be back and I'll get the money. Instead, she didn't get the money, I guess, because she started busting his windows.
Oh my God. This is like an actress or a rock star.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay.
The next thing you know, when I woke up, the taxi cab was surrounded by police. And I guess they arrested her. This was like these 4 cops come to the taxi cab. And I'm kind of dark, if you know what I mean. And the cop sticks his head in the cab, and I'm like, and he says, don't worry, we'll let her go. Well, they didn't let her go. And then about a minute later, the cab driver said, I'm getting nervous, what should we do? I said, let's get the hell out of here. So I went home, and I called up a few of my friends and told them, I'm home, don't worry, nothing happened. And then I found out watching the news, they arrested this person.
Jesus.
The news opened up saying this person has been arrested.
And you were like,
I was
right,
like,
you
oh.
were right there.
I was like, oh man,
You were right
I
there.
was right there. Dude.
How does it go down? Do you travel to your customers? Do you find them? Do you make house calls? Do they come to you? How does a deal go down, I guess, is the Grateful Dead.
Well, it's kind of like with me. It got to the point, it got pretty bad, where I was doing my own Johnny Carson show at night. People would come over and hang out.
You would be on the couch like, hey, join me. Ed's here. Chop up something.
They would,
Have fun.
Yeah, they'd hang around.
So that's interesting. So people would know where to go to you. So you basically got into this because you wanted to kind of have enough pocket change to stay high yourself, and you're still using to this day, or how does that work out?
Yeah, I still use. I just don't I don't live like the king I thought I was.
Would you rather be doing the art stuff for films? Would
Oh,
you
yeah.
rather, yeah, much rather, huh?
Yeah. My old man was a gambler and a numbers runner, so.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you come from a family that has any kind of dark history to it?
Well, my dad was not into drugs.
Right.
But,
You ever fuck a celebrity for coke? Just kidding.
no, they never fucked me for it. They almost did.
Have you ever seen that? Do people, I mean, let's say someone's low on cash. I mean,
I've
I'm sure
had
you've
a
heard
few-
every
I've had a
excuse.
few.
Every
No,
excuse
nothing like that. No. Because I'm not the kind of person who's.
to take advantage.
Yeah, I mean, I can't get my dick out. So what the fuck? I mean, I'm not gay, but I have had that problem before, probably because I was doing too many drugs.
Yeah, the old whiskey dick or coke dick. We've all been there, bro. Sorry, Amanda, bartender from the Derby. Here's my terrible side note story about that. I went out with this girl, and for some reason I was so nervous with her, I had just had hernia surgery about 3 months earlier, and this was the first girl I was with, and I just had drank a lot of red wine that night, and we went out, and I just couldn't get it up, and she was like, what's wrong? And I was like, I don't know. I'm so fucking embarrassed, and I left the room. I went home, like I called my father as a doctor. I'm like, Dad, we gotta talk. Meanwhile, I'm like 22. Like, this isn't when this is supposed to happen. This happens when you're 72. Like, I was like, fuck this. Call my dad. My dad says to me, do yourself a favor. Go to the video store and rent a porno. This is before the internet. Go rent a DVD porn and see what happens. So I go down to the store. I go in a little, like, sleazy back section. I pick something out with some, like, filthy blonde who I was, like, totally attracted to. Threw it on, and within, like, 2 seconds, it was like, I was right back in the game. And my dad's like, how'd it work out? I'm like, really well, man. Now I'm addicted to porn. And my dad was like, look, obviously sometimes things just don't go your way, but you need stimulation to use that, whatever. And that was the one time it happened. And that girl was so hot. And God, now that I've been with the same woman for so long, I miss that opportunity, and I think about it all the time. Anyway, we just won an award for that story. What's the shadiest it's ever gotten? I mean, aside from jail time, have you ever been jumped? Have you ever been...
There was some guy and his girlfriend with a glass, I guess, in her eye.
She had a glass eye?
Yeah, and she must have been screaming. And
oh, wait, he threw a glass in her eye?
Threw a glass and it hit her face.
So she's cut, she's bleeding.
And evidently the glass got into her eye.
Holy shit.
Basically, they called 911, I imagine. The police came, and they probably asked them what they were doing, what happened. That's how I got in trouble. Somebody turned me in.
Has anyone ever, like, saved your ass from, like, a beat down? So tell me about that story.
We went to an Angels playoff game, and I didn't sleep the night before. It was a Sunday. I don't think he slept, but he wasn't doing blow or anything like that. The Angels won, and he drove, so that made it even better. So I was telling this story. I told him this one guy was giving me a hard time, but I don't want to get in a fight. I'll just ease him out of my life by not dealing with him. Well, as we were driving back to my house, there was this car in the alley, and it was the asshole who owed me money, and it was stealing things from me. And there was a pile of cans, so he'd been waiting, beer cans, he'd been waiting for me to get home.
Drinking and sitting in the car?
Right in the back of the alley next to my apartment. And some of the neighbors had, from what I heard after this thing went down, told me we were trying to get the guy to leave, and he told me to go fuck off. So I told him, I says, do me a favor, park the car further down.
Are you scared at this point?
No, I was telling him to park it down the alley because I was going to kick his ass. I was going to do something to him. I had enough with him. And I kind of set my friend up, because if he didn't break in, because I'd been up all night,
Yeah, right.
I mean, I've been up
You're
all
exhausted.
night before. Yeah, I'm exhausted.
You've been drinking at the game. You're in no shape to fuck with this guy. Okay.
And so he didn't have any idea what I was going to do. So when we came out the car, me and my friend, I walked over to the guy and says, you're wearing my watch. You're waiting for me. I can get in trouble, whatever. I had these angel clappers still in my hand. And I said, fuck it. And I hit him in his face. The clappers bursted, almost knocked him down. And then I kind of said, okay, I'll let him up. And then he got the best of me because I've been up. And then the guy was hitting me. He was talking shit. I got you now, asshole, and all this shit. My buddy jumped in it, and that was the end of that.
Wow. So he saved your ass, basically. Interestingly, you were a sports guy. You're a movie guy, too. Let's talk sports movies. One of my favorite things. What's your favorite sports movie of all time?
The Natural.
Yeah. Roy Hobbs. I love that movie. What do you think the greatest cinematic masterpiece is, besides the New Point Break?
Well, if somebody said, what's the greatest movie? I'd say maybe Lawrence of Arabia or Best Years of Our Lives. For me, it's probably Apocalypse Now or Taxi Driver. I mean, a lot of people like the movie Scarface. The idea of the story to me is kind of like me in a way. You could find a niche, if it's illegal or not, and survive on it. I could have saved a lot of money.
You could have saved a lot?
Yeah, I could have. I would spend a lot of money on a lot of stupid stuff.
What's the stupidest shit you've ever bought?
Well, I had an addiction to aquariums.
Holy shit, on aquariums?
I must have spent $150 grand on it. That's no lie. That
Holy
sounds
shit.
like...
No, I mean...
But I mean,
Did you have like an aquarium dealer come over with some like rare Japanese fighting fish?
There was this great fish store in Santa Monica and Poinsettia. And I gave him a lot of money.
What is it about aquariums you like so much? Is it the peacefulness of the fish kind of swimming around?
Yeah. I love the water, I guess. I don't smoke grass, so I get high, natural high from.
You know, we're at the Burgundy Room, one of the greater dive bars in the country and definitely in Los Angeles. What other places are out there that you enjoy going to?
I used to go to the Coronet a lot.
The one over on La Cienega,
Yeah,
that's gone.
I used to go to Dantana's. I would go to Chaya.
Yeah.
I once got held up because my roommate was dealing drugs, and I got pistol whipped.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
But this is way before I was a drug dealer. It's when I was going to college.
What is the, in your opinion, biggest difference between doing drugs or selling drugs and selling booze and cigarettes to people?
There's no difference. Let's say you're a dealer who sold crap.
Okay, not crack, crap.
Crap.
Okay.
That's kind of like the cardinal sin with drugs.
To have bad product.
Yeah. You can cut drugs, not give them the 100% because you can't afford it. Or you could do something to it because it's real strong. But if it's just crap, you can barely get high. That's the drug abuse of drugs, selling bad drugs, I guess.
What were you doing during the riots, 92?
I didn't think it would go so far into mixed neighborhoods, let's say. It went to Hollywood. They were trying to burn down some stores. They wouldn't let them go to Beverly Hills. I didn't know it was going to get that bad. I mean, it was obvious Rodney King got his ass whooped for no reason. Well, I wouldn't say no reason, but it was they didn't have to beat him that bad.
How'd you feel when you saw that video for the first time?
Well, there was an old saying when I was growing up in the 70s, and I might have heard stories in the 60s. If you run from the police, you're going to get your ass kicked. There was a little bit more understanding in those days. I've had a chokehold on me, and you may not believe this, but I almost deserved it. Nothing happened to me, and they knew what they were doing, but I brought it on myself. But in that Rodney King incident, they tortured the guy.
We've touched a little bit on celebrity here. I know you have a lot of clients, actors, musicians, rock stars, people like that who they're in Hollywood. They have a career. They have money. They drive whatever car they like. They're famous. What could be wrong? Why do people like these go on these benders? Why do people push the envelope? Why is there such a need to escape certain realities?
Well, you just nailed me. I've been pretty fucked up through my dealing. I like chasing, I guess, a dragon or whatever. Yeah, the real reason, I read this thing on Angelica Houston, her biography.
Okay.
She said drugs are fun. And I think drugs are fun if you can afford them and not get too crazy. And I'm sure there's a lot of celebrities that I knew who, I'm not going to say who he is, but he was the nicest guy in the world. And he told me he didn't like being a celebrity sometimes. He hated it. I mean, I met a lot of people. The bad part is people don't know when to stop or slow down. I mean, I got to the point where, I was up for 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, maybe even 9 days. And I was still functioning. But there's no way I could do that now. I can barely stay up for 1 day, and then I have to look at it as I'm not necessarily lonely, but there's no one in me there's no reason for me to stop.
I mean, you said you don't really communicate with your family as much anymore, or at all.
At all. I don't have any kids. I had a bad tragedy that happened to me when I was 5 and I lost my mother and sister.
That's a fucking heavy tragedy.
Yeah. I was in an accident that killed my mother and sister and almost killed my father. And
you survived?
And I survived with
Jesus.
just a scratch.
Wow.
But the pain after, because when you're a kid, you're like, why did it have to happen with me? I had a mother and I had a sister, and that's...
Wow. I grew up with my stepfather was a drug and alcohol counselor, and I learned a lot from him. Stories like you just told me, or what he would tell me he hears all the time. Celebrity guys coming in saying, I never got over this moment where just like what you just said. And there's a big missing piece of the puzzle there that people look to fill the void with. I mean, look, man, that's a heavy thing. So I'm sorry that happened, but I don't want to bring this whole interview down. I want to say this has been a really cool thing, man. It's been really cool having you on. And do you have 2 cell phones like Walter White on Breaking Bad?
Fuck Walter White on Breaking Bad.
Say that again, please.
Fucking.
Well, in that show, for instance, like his whole, you rooted for him, and I think people root for the guys in your position.
Yeah, right. Yeah, kind of like the gangsters and.
Like no one ever thinks, oh, he's a dealer, he's a bad dude, or do you get that? Do you get that stigma? Or people are like, all right,
like you said, Granson.
Yeah.
And he plays that role, like he's stuck with this job and he can't get out. So, and he's a wonderful actor. I don't know him. I never dealt to him.
But I think it's interesting. I mean, in a way, being a dealer is pretty much. People love it because you have the balls to go do something that most people in the world will never have the balls to do. That's why America, in my opinion, and tell me if you agree, is obsessed with Pablo Escobar, is obsessed with El Chapo, is obsessed with the movie Scarface. In rap music, all they talk about is all that cane they're pushing, all that lean they're selling, all that illegal shit they're doing. You're a anti-hero, and that's a pretty interesting place to be. I mean, would you agree with that statement?
Yeah.
We would like to remind everyone to subscribe on iTunes and visit that website, afterhourspodcast.com. We got links. I don't know how many links we're going to have about what we covered tonight. Leave a review on iTunes. Follow us on the old Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, all that stuff. We've got a lot of behind-the-scenes pics and videos, songs. Again, Sanchez, thank you for coming by, man.
Thank you, brother.